Welcome to NTD Newsroom. I'm Don Ma. Our stories today. The Group of Seven summit officially kicks off in Canada with a bilateral meeting between President Trump and Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney. Top of the agenda, trade talks and the Middle East. NTD's Fiona G reports from Calgary. The suspected shooter accused of killing a Minnesota lawmaker and her husband faces federal charges. Local prosecutors provide more updates on their state case. Iran launched a deadly missile assault on Israel today, striking major cities. How is Israel responding, and what President Trump says about the escalating conflict? As anti-ICE protests continue in Los Angeles, House lawmakers are digging into the funding behind them. Some suspect the Chinese Communist Party is directing an American businessman as part of their, quote, strategy of sowing discord. The Trump-appointed Religious Liberty Commission held its first hearing today with a discussion on religious liberty in the U.S. And officials work to identify the remains of the victims in last week's Air India plane crash. Meanwhile, a separate flight operated by the airline turns around after takeoff.
This is NTD Newsroom, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. Our top story today. As the war continues in the Middle East, Iran launched a barrage of missiles at Israel overnight, and multiple deaths have been reported. Meanwhile, Israeli forces say they now have full control of the airspace of Tehran. NTD's Jason Perry has the update.
On Monday morning, an Iranian missile made it through Israel's air defense systems and hit this residential building in Israel. Israeli police said at least 3 people were killed and more than 30 were wounded when the missile hit this building in the Israeli city of Petah Tikva. Israeli President Isaac Herzog visited the site and said the Iranian missile was aimed at civilians.
But I have news for the Iranian regime. You think you're going to tire us or make us fatigue? You're absolutely wrong. We're a very strong, resilient nation with very strong capabilities in all fields. I think you're feeling it out there in Iran.
Iran launched a barrage of missiles on Sunday night and early Monday morning, some of them also striking Haifa and Tel Aviv. Israel's National Emergency Services have said 23 people have been killed in Israel since Friday. Israeli attacks in Iran have killed at least 224 people since Friday. That's according to Iran's health ministry. And according to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Air Force has full control of the airspace above Tehran.
This is a change of the entire campaign. We are on the way to achieving our 2 goals, elimination of the nuclear threat and elimination of the missile threat.
And with control of the airspace above Tehran, Israeli forces reported striking command centers belonging to the Quds Force in central and eastern Tehran. The Quds Force is an elite branch of the Iranian military, which the U.S. has designated as a terrorist organization. Meanwhile, some residents in Tehran have begun to leave the city.
People feel like something really bad might happen in the city. That's why we want to go somewhere else for the time being, until things settle down.
Meanwhile, President Trump on Monday said Iran should, quote, talk immediately before it's too late. Jason Perry, NTD News.
Next, Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty says she plans to file first-degree murder charges against Minnesota shooting suspect Vance Bolter. Moriarty spoke to reporters today as federal prosecutors announced additional charges.
It is a frightening time we are living in. Political violence is prevalent, and the way we talk to and about each other has raised the temperature to unfathomable levels. We cannot continue on this way. In times of tragedy, but also every day, as we navigate our daily lives, we need to find ways to support one another. As our community grieves, I encourage those out there seeking to create additional chaos to stop spreading misinformation and conspiracy theories. Our law enforcement partners are building a case using facts and evidence to ensure Vance Bolter is held accountable.
Bolter is accused of fatally shooting former Democratic House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark. In their home early Saturday, officials alleged that Bolter posed as a police officer before opening fire in the northern Minneapolis suburbs. Authorities say he also wounded Senator John Hoffman and his wife Yvette less than 10 miles away. Investigators discovered a list in Bolter's car that included the names of dozens of legislators, mostly or all Democrats. Minnesota's acting U.S. Attorney Joseph Thompson spoke ahead of the shootings. Suspect's court appearance this afternoon.
Clear from the evidence that he's been planning these attacks for quite some time. There's voluminous writings, as you've seen in the reporting, that were found both in his car and his house about his planning, lists of names and individuals. In terms of the why, it's unclear.
Minnesotans paid their respects for the victims of this weekend's shooting. Here's some of how locals are reacting to what appears to be another act of political violence.
A country founded on democracy and I mean, we have disagreements, but we're supposed to solve those peacefully and through the democratic process, not through violence.
We've either crossed the line or we're so close to it that we will cross the line. But we believe that the people together, the good people in this country, will either pull us back over the line or keep us from going over the line.
We've lost such a wonderful person in our government. She was doing so much for the families of Minnesota, and to lose her is tragic. I can't believe she's gone.
The Group of Seven summit has officially begun in the Canadian Rockies. All eyes are on President Trump and how he will respond to some of the most pressing international issues. During meetings with world leaders today and tomorrow, we've got Fiona G now reporting live from Calgary. Fiona, good afternoon, please. What's the latest?
Don, you're absolutely right. The G7 summit of 2025 has officially kicked off here in Alberta, Canada. At the beginning of the summit, we saw a bilateral meeting between Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney and President Donald Trump. Of course, a key topic that's going to be prevalent throughout this summit is the Middle East. Here's what President Trump had to say when asked about Iran. Listen.
They'd like to talk, but they should have done that before. Say Iran is not winning this war, and they should talk, and they should talk immediately before it's too late.
President Trump has also indicated that he has heard from intermediaries that Iran does want to come back to the table to talk. Interestingly, however, just today during an interview with CNN, the Israeli president actually said he believed Iran was just using these talks as a front to continue advancing its nuclear weapons programs. Listen.
You can speak peaceful diplomatic, and on the other hand, underneath, you move forward to the bomb. And that was exactly the situation. What we are doing is contributing substantially to the defense and security interests of all Western and free world countries.
And President Trump has reiterated that the U.S. has always strongly supported Israel and that he believes Israel is doing very well. But when asked what it would take for the U.S. to get involved militarily in the Middle East, he did not give a clear answer. Now, looking more closely at specifically U.S.-Canada talks, President Trump said that top of the agenda for U.S. and Canada is trade. Look.
I think we're going to accomplish a lot, and I expect to. And I think our primary focus will be trade and trade with Canada, and I'm sure we can work something out.
Now, President Trump says that he himself, as we've heard a lot before, likes tariffs because he believes they're simple and they're effective. He said that Prime Minister Carney's ideas for U.S.-Canada trade were very complex, but he did say that they were not bad ideas. Now, one reporter asked the president if he thought it would be possible for some sort of U.S.-Canada agreement within days or weeks. President Trump said that that was indeed possible, but that both sides would have to come to some sort of agreement. Now, it's also interesting to note here that the topic of G7 membership was also brought up during that meeting. President Trump said he believed Russia should have never been removed from what was then known as the G8. Listen.
The G7 used to be the G8. Barack Obama and a person named Trudeau didn't want to have Russia in. Then I would say that that was a mistake, because I think you wouldn't have a war right now if you had Russia in.
Trump did say that he believed at this point Russia shouldn't be allowed immediately back into the G7 because too much has happened over the past couple of years. One reporter also asked President Trump if he would be open to China joining the G7. President Trump said that he was not opposed to that idea if anyone brought it up, but he did say that China needs to bring people to the table who are actually willing to talk. Don?
Now, Fiona, after that bilateral meeting, Prime Minister Carney made some remarks before the beginning of session 1 of the summit. What do you have there?
That's right. The G7 is now entering its first multilateral working session of the summit. At the beginning of that session, Prime Minister Carney made some opening remarks where he highlighted one of the earliest goals of the G7, which was to help former communist countries integrate into the free Western world. Listen.
Following the fall of the Berlin Wall, the G7 gathered to integrate those countries that had been behind the Iron Curtain of communism and to accelerate the flow of capital and trade to the developing world.
The Prime Minister said that this summit is taking place during a key turning point in world history. He said that he was honored to be working alongside world leaders, including President Trump, who are willing to rise up to that challenge. The Prime Minister also said, quote, there can be no security without economic prosperity. So, of course, world economy is going to be a big topic of discussion both today and tomorrow as well. Now, a quick look before we go at President Trump's schedule. He is expected to be speaking with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer at 2 p.m. local time. That'll be 4 p.m. Eastern. Don, back to you.
Okay, Fiona, thank you very much for the report. And joining us now for further analysis on this year's G7 summit is Daniel Lacalle, chief economist, Tresses, and as well author for the book Freedom or Equality. So Daniel, first of all, good afternoon to you. To start off, can we talk about, from your perspective, what would you say is President Trump's role right now at the G7?
Thank you very much. I think that the main role of President Trump right now is to get the trading partners to achieve positive trade negotiations and to start really delivering on the promise of supporting free trade, free enterprise, and freedom for individuals. I think that it's very, very important to see a drastic change in the G7 that has gradually moved to a very interventionist, almost neo-Keynesian type of strategy, trying to probably because of fear, sometimes because of, trying to accommodate to the narrative of activists to disseminate the very wrong ideas of socialism. So I think that what's most important here is to bring back the G7 to defend free markets, free enterprise, and individual freedom, and to abandon wokeism.
Okay, let me ask you one thing specifically. So Trump said at the summit that trade with Canada will be among the key topics discussed and added that a potential deal is achievable. You have any thoughts on that, where things are going, Daniel?
Yeah, I think that we have two very important deals that could be announced or closed during or very close to the end of the G7 summit. Number one is the Japan deal. I think that that is probably the one that is the most advanced and simplest of them all, because I think that the Japanese Prime Minister is very, very focused on getting a trade deal that is going to be positive for both nations, for the United States and Japan as well. I think that the trade deal with Canada, it could be one of the easiest ones to finish and to complete, but it seems that the new Canadian government is not so keen on lifting its non-tariff barriers, and it continues to be very much about maintaining that enormous level of regulatory and legislative burdens that have crippled the trade between the United States and Canada. So I think that that is likely to be a little bit more difficult. And we have just heard, anyhow, some positive, and I think that certainly, I would say, encouraging words from both President Trump and Prime Minister Carney about the likelihood of reaching an agreement. I think it would be very simple if Canada only adhere to the idea of lifting its non-tariff barriers. I think it's going to be a little bit more complicated if they continue to be stubbornly focused on maintaining their regulatory burdens and their enormous so-called environmental burdens.
Okay, Daniel, of course, we cannot ignore the fact that this is happening amid the backdrop of Middle East conflict, right? Do you see the G7 playing a role as a mediator in the Israel-Iran conflict, or not so much?
I think the G7 role is very important. I think that we cannot underestimate the importance of what the United States and the main economies in the world can do in order to mitigate the risk of this conflict spreading out. I think that it's also very significant what we just heard from President Trump about reaching out to China and to Russia, because there's no solution to the Iran-Israel conflict if China and Russia don't stop the Iranian regime from continuing to develop its policy and its strategy of expanding and obliterating, annihilating, as they say, Israel. So I think that the G7 role is very important. It needs to be decisive, it needs to be proactive, and it needs to be about bringing Iran to a solution that eliminates the risk of a nuclear war, and certainly of the use of its nuclear program for military purposes.
Okay, another elephant in the room, in my opinion, is that Trump has increased tariffs on some of the G7 partners. Do you think that's going to play into the dynamics of the meeting? Is there going to be tensions because of that?
Of course there will be tensions, but there's one thing that we know so far, is that none of the trading partners of the United States in the G7 have denied their enormous non-tariff barriers and have denied the calculation that the Trump administration made about the cost of tariffs, of the reciprocal tariffs. Therefore, I think that there's plenty of room for negotiation. I think it will be very positive to see Japan reaching a trade deal with the United States. And I think it will be very positive as well if Canada reaches at least a principle of agreement. So yes, I think it will be something that will be discussed, and something that will be discussed quite openly and with obviously different positions. But I think that what's most important about it is that the G7 summit ends with a clear commitment to defending economic freedom, free trade, and free enterprise. If those three things are clear commitments for the G7, the United States will also reach positive agreements with all of those nations.
Okay, with that being said, can you just reiterate or elaborate on the level of unity within the group as of right now? Do trade talks within the G7 affect its ability to focus on different challenges like China and other issues?
I think that there is a significant difference between the United States, the UK, and other G7 partners about the position relative to China. I think that it's very evident that the United States sees the risk of Chinese government that is closing the economy, but is also advancing in a more interventionist policy and strategy, particularly also with the rest of the world, relative to, for example, the European G7 members that have a more, let's say, benign view about the position with China. So I think that trade differences are likely to be a very significant part, but also the approach to negotiating and to reaching cooperation with China is likely to be an element of at least disagreement. But I believe that we will finish the summit with positive results. I think that the way that things are developing and the headlines that we're getting are actually a lot more, I would say, encouraging than one would have imagined only a month ago.
All right, then let's end on this positive note. Thank you very much, Daniel, again for coming on today.
Thank you very much, Don.
Coming up, as anti-ICE protests continue in Los Angeles, House lawmakers are digging into the funding behind them. Some suspect the Chinese Communist Party is directing an American businessman as part of their, quote, strategy of sowing discord. That and more after the break.
Inflation is still driving up home repair costs. How are millions of homeowners saving money on unexpected bills? With Choice Home Warranty.
Is a new refrigerator in your budget? How about a replacement AC unit? I'm Ty Pennington. For many families, these costs can be catastrophic. That's why I'm a Choice Home Warranty customer. They've saved millions of homeowners from unexpected repair bills with an affordable monthly plan that provides peace of mind and helps avoid surprise expenses. Call now to protect your home with Choice Home Warranty and get your first month free.
Choice Home Warranty offers plans that cover repair or replacement on up to 25 essential home systems and appliances. Protect your budget with a customizable Choice Home Warranty.
We've been a Choice Home Warranty customer for almost 9 years.
And we couldn't be more happy with their service that we get from Choice Home Warranty.
Unexpected home repairs can quickly eat into your savings. It wastes time and fills you with stress. Choice Home Warranty is the most trusted name in home warranty. Call now to lock in a low monthly rate.
Choice Home Warranty has a nationwide network of more than 25,000 trusted technicians. When I have a breakdown, they always have the right contractor to get me taken care of quickly. I just pay a low monthly fee and they pay for the covered repairs.
Choice Home Warranty has been a great company to work with, and they've taken care of us. I would suggest anybody who lives in a home not to be in a home without him.
It's time to protect your hard-earned money with an affordable plan from Choice Home Warranty. Call right now for the peace of mind you and your family deserve. Call Choice Home Warranty now.
Protect your home and your wallet with Choice Home Warranty. Call now to get a free quote, your first month free, and save $10 a month for the first year. Call 800-983-4585, 800-983-4585, or go to choicehome.com.
Being a cowboy, I don't know anything different from when I was 3 or 4 years old. I did tough things. I thought everybody needed to do tough things, and if you didn't, I didn't have time for it. I had a very successful career at a very young age, and life was fast. I was preparing physically. I wasn't doing anything mentally on the inside. And then I got hurt. I wanted to be better as a person, and I really dug into mental health. I start my day with 20-minute workouts. I live life 8 seconds at a time. Horses are so therapeutic. They know what you're feeling. When you're nervous, they're nervous. You won't say it back, but we're pals. I take a lot of responsibility in taking care of my kids, my family, being there for them. You're gonna have tough days. Everybody does. Find a place to stop and just breathe. Love your mind.
Flash floods have killed 5 people in northern West Virginia. Rescue crews were searching for 3 others who were missing Sunday after torrential rains hit the area Saturday. Vehicles were swept into creeks while some people sought safety in trees. Authorities continue to assess damage to roads, bridges, natural gas lines, and other infrastructure. Officials said 2 to 4 inches of rain fell in parts of Wheeling and Ohio County within about a half hour on Saturday night. Similarly, swift floods arrived south in Marion County early Sunday afternoon, causing extensive damage to bridges, roads, and homes. Governor Patrick Morrisey declared a state of emergency in Marion last night. President Trump is ordering immigration officials to ramp up deportations in Democratic-led cities. In a social media post yesterday, he called it the single largest mass deportation program in history. The announcement follows weeks of stepped-up immigration raids and mounting public backlash. Protesters took to the streets in Los Angeles and other cities over the weekend. Trump credits the National Guard for keeping protests in LA under control. At the same time, Trump is pulling back enforcement in sectors that rely on undocumented workers like farms, restaurants, and hotels. FBI officials said yesterday that 2 detainees who escaped from a federal immigration detention center in New Jersey last week have been recaptured. Another 2 remain at large. The 4 men escaped out of the Delaney Hall Detention Center in Newark following reports during disorder there. Officials said they escaped by breaking through an interior wall that led to an exterior one and were able to leave from a parking lot. Officials did not immediately say how or where the 2 who are back in custody were caught. A wanted poster for the remaining 2 detainees were posted online yesterday by FBI New York. They have announced a $10,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of each man. Homeland Security officials said that all 4 men were in the country illegally. Local police in New Jersey and New York City had previously charged them with crimes. As protests continue in Los Angeles, House lawmakers suspect the Chinese Communist Party is involved behind the scenes. The House Oversight Committee has launched an investigation into a man they suspect is working as an agent for the regime to fan the flames. NTD's Melina Weisskopf reports.
Lawmakers on the House Oversight Committee are digging into funding behind the LA protests and riots. An American businessman is on the radar, Melville Singham, a U.S. billionaire currently residing in China. They're calling Singham to testify about his political activity in funding the Party for Socialism and Liberation, a Marxist political organization, the People's Forum, and other leftist groups that support U.S. adversaries. The lawmakers wrote to Singham, "You have created an elaborate dark money network which allows you to send funds to a series of nonprofits such as the United Community Fund and Justice Education Fund that have almost no real footprints." Their main concern is that he is acting as an agent for the Chinese Communist Party, using its strategy of sowing discord. The goal is to fan the flames of internal dispute, making them deep enough to distract the U.S. from its conflict with the regime. Senator Chuck Grassley previously wrote to the Attorney General and the FBI that Singham works closely with the Chinese government media machine and is financing its propaganda worldwide. Singham has until June 27th to respond. In the meantime, the lawmakers asked the Attorney General to brief them on any ongoing investigations into Singham. Singham and the Party for Socialism and Liberation did not respond to an earlier request for comment from the Epoch Times. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Melina Weisskopf, NTD News.
The Supreme Court is weighing how much power lower courts judges have to block the president's policies for the entire country. The issue arises from an appeal challenging rulings that have blocked Trump's attempt to end birthright citizenship. The long-standing practice is based in the 14th Amendment of granting citizenship to any child born on U.S. soil, regardless of their parents' immigration status. In May, justices heard arguments about nationwide injunctions that allow a single judge to block a policy for the entire country. Their decision could help define the extent of Trump's executive authority, and it will have enormous implications for Trump's entire agenda. Harvard University is once again in the national spotlight. Today, a federal judge will consider whether to extend a block on the Trump administration's effort to bar foreign nationals from entering the U.S. to study at Harvard. The judge will consider issuing a formal injunction that would prevent the government from enforcing the travel restrictions while Harvard pursues its legal challenge. In the most recent academic year, nearly 7,000 international students were enrolled at Harvard, accounting for about 27% of the student body. The majority came from countries including China and India. The hearing follows a temporary restraining order issued on June 6th, which halted the enforcement of a presidential proclamation signed just a day earlier. In addition to the travel restrictions, the federal government has frozen billions of dollars in grants and other funding to Harvard. It has also proposed revoking the university's tax-exempt status. The Trump Organization announces a new mobile phone and cell phone service plan. The phone will cost $499, and the plan pricing features presidential branding.
With Trump Mobile, we're going to be introducing an entire package of products that people can come, they can get telemedicine on their phone for one flat monthly fee, roadside assistance in their cars, unlimited texting to 100 countries around the world, and we've partnered with some of the best to really bring something unique to the American people.
I mean, the fact that all your customer service will be done in America. It's going to be done in St. Louis, Missouri. I hope I was allowed to give that out. And making phones in America, it's about time we bring products back to our great country.
The T1 smartphone is set to launch in September. Advertising material shows it with a gold color and says it is made in the USA. An American flag is etched on the back. The camera layout and form factor resemble an iPhone. The cost for the service plan is $47.45 per month, which is a reference to President Trump's tenure as both the 47th and 45th president. According to the Trump mobile website, customers are also offered the option to keep their current phones and switch onto the Trump mobile service plan. The Trump Organization website says the phone is part of a licensing agreement and not directly involved with the Trump Organization in its production and distribution. A direct flight from the U.S. to Greenland landed in the capital city of Nuuk Saturday evening. The flight from Newark, New Jersey marked the first direct passage to the Arctic island in nearly 20 years. Here are the details on that.
Air Greenland started a flight route between the United States and Greenland in 2007. It was scrapped the following year due to cost.
So excited. This is such an historic day, the first flight from the US to Greenland. I've been to Greenland before, but never this way round. I came the other way through Europe, so to be able to come straight is really amazing.
United Airlines announced the flight in October. It was scheduled to take advantage of the new Nuuk Airport, which opened in late November and features a large runway for bigger jets.
Yeah, I mean, distance-wise, it's only like 4.5 hours. So by flight, you can get to Greenland faster than you can get to some parts of the United States. So I'm hoping that, that provides a lot of opportunity, and that we as two, independent state and nation use that, to benefit, both parties.
I've wanted to come here for a very long time, and I'm happy to be here. I do hope that, we receive a warm reception from the locals. From those I've talked to already, it seems that they're excited to have us here, and so we're excited to be here and just be the best versions of ourselves.
Before, travelers had to stop in Iceland or Denmark before flying to Greenland. Tourism is increasingly important in Greenland. More than 96,000 international passengers traveled through the country's airports in 2023.
Coming up, officials work to identify the remains of the victims in last week's Air India plane crash. Meanwhile, a separate flight operated by the airline turns around after takeoff. We have that story and more after the break.
Hi, I'm Ty Pennington, here for Choice Home Warranty. They protect my home from expensive repairs, and they can do the same for you. No matter if it's your refrigerator, plumbing, or more than 20 other home systems and appliances, Choice Home Warranty has saved millions of homeowners a whole lot of money. For a low monthly fee, you get their nationwide network of trusted local technicians with plans that cover repairs and replacements done quickly and the right way. No more headaches searching for technicians. No more budget-breaking chaos. Just a peace of mind of having Choice Home Warranty at your service. Call Choice Home Warranty now and save big with their special offer of your first month free and free limited roof coverage. Call now.
Call Choice Home Warranty for your free personalized quote and to get your first month free. Call in the next 5 minutes, and as our special offer, you'll receive free limited roof coverage. Call now to lock in your rate and save big. Call 800-210-6422, 800-210-6422.
Hi, I'm Susan Lucci. You may know me from my many years on television. I never thought about heart disease until I had my own heart event. I felt this slight pressure on my chest, just slight. I thought, oh, it's nothing, it'll go away. I didn't get it. I did not get it. A few days later, while shopping at a boutique, that pressure returned, much stronger. It felt like an elephant pressing on my chest. I had a 90% blockage in my main artery and a 75% blockage in the adjacent artery. I was rushed into surgery where I received 2 stents in my arteries. Stents developed through research funded by the American Heart Association. Those stents saved my life. That's why I'm in front of you today, asking you to join me in supporting the American Heart Association by becoming a monthly donor. Call now or go to helpheart.org. For only $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, you can help fund the next medical breakthrough. Get the next person trained in CPR, the next hospital certified in high-quality cardiovascular care. I'm so grateful to the American Heart Association. Their research helped save my life. I can enjoy life with my children, my grandchildren, and my friends. Heart disease is America's #1 killer, and your support now can help save your life or the life of someone you love. Give $19 a month with your credit card, and we'll send you this special t-shirt that you can wear to show that you are helping save lives. Please, listen to your heart. The only reason I'm here today is because I did.
Please call or go online to helpheart.org.
Become a monthly donor, and for a limited time only, your first month's gift will be matched.
Thank you.
Iran said today that its parliament is preparing a bill that could push Tehran toward exiting the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Iran ratified the treaty in 1970. It guarantees countries the right to pursue civilian nuclear power. In return, they must forego atomic weapons and cooperate with the UN nuclear watchdog, the IAEA. Israel, which never joined the treaty, is widely assumed by regional governments to possess nuclear weapons, although it does not confirm nor deny this. Israel began bombing Iran last week, saying Tehran was on the verge of building a nuclear bomb. The Iranian president said today that Iran does not intend to develop nuclear weapons, but will pursue its right to nuclear energy and research. As the conflict between Israel and Iran intensifies, experts say Americans could feel it at the pump. An analyst at GasBuddy predicts prices could rise more than 30 cents a gallon by July 4th. That's due to the skyrocketing cost of oil. Some oil infrastructure appears damaged as the two sides exchange strikes. Haifa's home to Israel's largest refinery and is a target overnight. Iran is one of the top oil producers in the world. Experts say gas prices would rise much more if Iran stemmed the flow of oil through the Strait of Hormuz. France shuttered 4 Israeli stands at the Paris Air Show today for allegedly refusing to remove offensive weapons from display. The director of Rafael Advanced Defense Systems criticized the move.
This was done, the display was covered during the night after our team has left. Once we finished setting up the whole display, we came in the morning and everything was shut down.
French authorities had ordered black partition walls erected around some Israeli defense industry exhibits. Israel's defense ministry denounced the decision. Activist groups had sought to block Israeli companies from participating in the show due to the war in Gaza. A French appeals court ruled against those organizations Friday. The Paris Air Show is one of the world's largest and most prestigious events for the aerospace and defense industry. The air show's organizers said that it was trying to help French authorities and the Israeli companies reach an agreement. A doctor in Ahmedabad, India, says work is underway to identify the victims of last week's plane crash. He provided an update from the civil hospital receiving the remains.
एयर इंडिया एयरक्राफ्ट होनारत में सिविल हॉस्पिटल में आए हुए मृतकों के शव में से 92 शव की डीएनए मैचिंग हो चुकी है 92 of which the individuals are 87 because there is duplication.
The doctor said that 47 individuals have claimed the bodies of their respective family members killed in the crash. As of today, 12 people were still waiting for DNA confirmation. Healthcare workers could be seen transferring the remains in coffins to hand them over to relatives. The London-bound Boeing 787 Dreamliner crashed on the residential facility of a local hospital Thursday, killing 242 people on board. Air India later confirmed that only one passenger survived. Meanwhile, an Air India Boeing Dreamliner bound for New Delhi returned to Hong Kong today shortly after takeoff. The airline said it suspected a technical issue. According to AirNav radar, Air India Flight 315 took off from Hong Kong shortly after noon. The flight tracking website showed the aircraft reached an altitude of 22,000 feet before descending. The plane is the same Boeing model that went down last week. Thursday's crash has put additional pressure on Air India, which has been trying to revamp its fleet for some time. It marks another potential challenge for Boeing as well. The U.S. aircraft manufacturer continues to try to regain public trust following a series of safety and production crises in recent years. Taiwan is cracking down on China's top chip makers. It's imposing tough new export rules on Huawei and SMIC. The island's trade agency has added both firms to a high-tech export blacklist, citing national security and weapons proliferation concerns. Now, any Taiwanese firm must get government clearance before shipping tech to companies on that list. The move brings Taiwan closer in line with the United States on this. The U.S. blacklisted Huawei in 2019 and Semiconductor Manufacturing International Corp in 2020, cutting them off from most American tech. Neither Huawei or SMIC immediately responded to questions about the new restrictions. The USS Nimitz aircraft carrier left the South China Sea this morning. The website Marine Traffic said its ship tracking data showed it was heading west toward the Middle East. A reception for its planned port call in central Vietnam was canceled. The Nimitz carrier strike group conducted security operations in the South China Sea last week. It was part of the U.S. Navy's routine presence in the Indo-Pacific. And the Chinese regime has been persecuting people of faith for decades, subjecting them to jail, torture, and even forced organ harvesting. A group of medical experts is calling on the U.S. and other nations to help stop the atrocities. NTD's international correspondent Arian Pasdar has the story.
The persecution and forced organ harvesting and holding the perpetrators accountable.
Medical experts from around the globe are making a plea for China to stop live organ harvesting. An organization called Doctors Against Forced Organ Harvesting held a roundtable this weekend, shining light on the ongoing crimes against humanity.
It's time for the G7 to take the lead to end this atrocity in China.
The U.S. Congress previously found that China's black market is filled with stolen organs. A member with the organization says that China's black market for organs also affects legal organ donations.
If we have a perpetrator like state-sanctioned forced organ harvesting, it undermines everything based on an ethical medical practice.
Independent research has found that China sells the organs for up to $150,000. U.S. lawmakers have been calling on the Chinese regime to stop the atrocity. Arian Pasdar, NTD News.
Coming up, Congress is now working to confront the issue of forced organ harvesting in China. The House passed the Falun Gong Protection Act last month. In 2019, the China Tribunal in London found that Falun Gong practitioners are likely the victims of organ harvesting. Falun Gong, or Falun Dafa, is a spiritual meditation practice that has been heavily persecuted in China since 1999. The Falun Gong Persecution, or Protection Act, rather, would impose sanctions on doctors who take part in forced organ harvesting. It's now awaiting approval in the Senate before reaching the president's desk. And coming up, Australian scientists said that surfing can help ease symptoms of depression, anxiety, and ADHD. The study found it also fosters a sense of connecting young people. That and more after the break.
Imagine a coffee that cares for your health. Expertly fermented with a 50-enzyme complex to enhance flavor and remove bitterness. Small batch roasted to a decadent medium dark, resulting in a brew that is gentle on digestion, low acid, and up to 90% less caffeine than regular coffee. Try America's first enzyme fermented coffee today.
What if you could whiten your teeth by simply brushing your teeth? Now you can with Smile Actives, the teeth whitening breakthrough that safely gets your teeth white and keeps them white every day, just by brushing your teeth.
I never thought that whitening my teeth could be so easy. I just put the gel on the brush, the toothpaste on it, brush, and I can see my white teeth.
Simply add Smile Actives to any toothpaste and our patented PolyClean technology activates into a powerful microfoam that penetrates into the enamel surface to safely lift and remove stains.
You need a simple way to whiten your teeth. Without strips, without trays, without going to the dentist. And it was about time that a product was developed that you would be able to do that with just brushing.
And now Smile Actives is even better with new Pro Whitening Gel with 33% greater whitening power, clinically shown to whiten teeth faster, up to 8 shades. 100% of users saw whiter teeth. on food stains, coffee and wine stains, even on veneers, crowns, and dentures.
I eat the blueberries, I drink the coffee, and I know that Smile Actives will keep my teeth white every day.
If you could use something so easy like Smile Actives to take yellow teeth to white teeth, why wouldn't you?
Why spend hundreds of dollars for whitening treatments at the dentist when now you can whiten your teeth with new Smile Actives Pro Whitening Gel every time you brush your teeth? Call or go to smileactives.com and for a limited time get new Pro Whitening Gel for just $24.95. Order in the next 5 minutes and buy one, get one absolutely free for just $24.95. That's 2 for 1 and save 58%. We'll even include free shipping. Get your teeth whiter guaranteed or return it within 60 days for your money back.
I smile every day now.
The difference is literally night and day.
So now I'm always smiling, always choosing, because now my teeth are much whiter.
This offer is not available in stores, so call or click now before the special buy one, get one free offer goes away.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. So if you want to talk to your kids, you got to get it trending. I was just trying to get your attention.
Could I just ask?
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
The executive branch's Religious Liberty Commission held a hearing today to discuss how religious liberty and the faith of the American people has been paramount to America's success since our nation's founding. NTD's Arlene Richards has some of the highlights.
President Donald Trump last month established the Religious Liberty Commission to reignite religious freedom in America. On Monday, the commission, which serves under the Department of Justice, held its first hearing. Attorney General Pam Bondi applauded the commission for taking on the president's vision.
On May 1st, President Trump took bold action and signed an executive order establishing the Religious Liberty Commission. President Trump's action reaffirmed our nation's enduring commitment to the freedoms of our founders. It reminded us that faith was built into the foundation of our nation's founding documents. There was no mistake when it was included in the First Amendment. Our founding fathers understood that every individual must be free to worship without fear, without coercion, and without government interference.
In his executive order that established the commission, Trump said one of the commission's duties would be to recommend steps to secure domestic religious liberty by executive or legislative actions. Distinguished guests presented at the hearing on various topics like the right way to promote religion.
Is it possible for the government to promote religion without infringing upon the rights of others?
Former law professor Gerard Bailey drew upon the writings of founder James Madison for his answer.
We should come to recognize religion as a common good, even if not everybody's religious. And even if some people, maybe they're not religious, don't think religion is a common good. And as the founders most certainly did think, and I think, having a religious and virtuous citizenry is good for everybody. Frankly, even people who lack virtue and don't believe in religion.
He said he personally doesn't think God wants people to worship because that's what's done around here. Several other witnesses spoke on the founders' vision for religious freedom, the intended meaning of the Establishment Clause of the Constitution, and the court's responsibility to make changes. The commission is chaired by Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick and former Secretary of Housing Dr. Ben Carson. It also has 3 advisory boards composed of religious leaders, legal experts, and lay leaders. Arlene Richards, NTD News.
The co-founder of Romania's largest grassroots initiative joined Bay Area innovators to share how her team raised funds to build a children's cancer hospital and how they overcame political obstacles to improve healthcare and restore public trust. Let's take a look.
How
did this get started? How did you get the idea to build a hospital?
We started in 2009 from a story of an 18-year-old boy who was dying of leukemia because the Romanian state wasn't able to provide this treatment. And we fought for him, me and my good friend Carmen. And after this story, we realized how difficult it is in Romania for families with children with cancer and for people with health problems. And we decided to do something here in Romania to build infrastructure. And this project started in 2018. But before that, we tried to renovate the Marie Curie Hospital, the oncological department.
The existing state-owned hospital, right?
Exactly. The existing ward for oncological treatment for children with cancer. And in this department, treating 30 children together with their mothers. And they had access to only one toilet. This can be possible in Romania, in an European country. And we decided to build toilets in every room. This was our first project. And we went there with the architect and some engineers. We asked what we can do for these children because it's not possible to let treat it in these conditions. And our architect said we had built from scratch, something from scratch. At the beginning we laughed because it sounds like it's not possible, how we can think about it. But step by step we started to think, we started to talk with people, and people looked at us with trust. So we started to believe, and step by step we raised money, and we had a big chance to have with us the biggest TV station in Romania, ProTV, who helped a lot for our fundraising campaigns.
Tell us about some of the hardships or some of the problems you ran into during the process, and how did you come out? How did you succeed to finish it?
Every minister of health took the position, the power, tried to put some, I don't know, obstacles. I don't know why. The politicians were not very happy with this project because it was like a mirror in their face. They didn't build anything, and an NGO and people did it. And they tried to stop the legislation that permitted us to raise money. They tried to ask some permissions and some paper. They invented rules. They tried to invent rules. But how I already said, the Romanians were very reactive, and their reaction means a lot for politicians. And in the end, we managed to do it.
How did you feel when the building was finished and you had an opening and you see the patients going to the new hospitals? How did you feel personally?
It was a day very important for us, with a lot of emotion. Everybody from our team was crying that day because after a lot of work and a lot of obstacles, we did it. And we felt like something very important for us, for all our donors, for children, for their parents, and for Romania too, because for Romania was a very important achievement. People said we can do it. In the last 35 years, we were made to believe that we can't build in Romania. We thought that about us. And this project was something that proved we can do it.
Australian scientists say that surfing can help ease symptoms of depression, anxiety, and ADHD. The study by Deakin University found it also fosters a sense of connection among young participants. Here's the story.
Just 2 years ago, getting out of bed every morning was a real struggle for teenager Montana Tagg. Now, Montana and her dad wake up before sunrise, full of excitement.
In 2023, Montana fully withdrew from high school, and that's year 9. She dropped out completely. It just didn't work for her.
The 16-year-old lives with a condition that causes chronic pain, joint hypermobility, and frequent dislocations. A combination of her symptoms, bullying, and challenges at her former high school led to a decline in her mental health. But since changing schools and joining regular sessions with the surf therapy charity Ocean Mind, her well-being has significantly improved.
If the waves are good, if the waves are bad, I still have to surf them and just try my best and see what I can do.
Early findings on surf therapy are encouraging. Researchers observed a noticeable decrease in symptoms after just 6 weeks. They attribute these improvements to a mix of factors, such as learning a new skill, forming social connections, and engaging in physical activity.
They need to be present, so there's that act of mindfulness and really paying attention.
Being able to share an activity and sit side by side and chat about how people are going and their well-being in between catching waves or, being in the ocean is quite different to sitting in a room.
Surf therapy is now part of the curriculum at Montana's new school.
A slow train in Croatia is offering leisurely wine tours. Visitors can enjoy the country's vineyards and eat and drink en route. NTD's Andrew Thomas has more.
The train rumbles through the Croatian countryside. The region boasts a long winemaking tradition, a rich culinary scene, and welcoming locals. Its trains are also known for being slow.
The most famous Englishman in Croatia, Paul Bradbury, took a ride on the Osijek Erdut train and established that it was among the slowest, if not the slowest, passenger train in Europe, not just in Croatia. It travels at an average speed of some 20 kilometers per hour and takes over an hour to cross the distance of about 25 kilometers.
The British expat's lighthearted criticism led to a tourism idea.
He vlogged about the experience, and when we, who work on promoting this part of Croatia, saw his report, we came up with the idea for the slow wine train to turn a negative into a positive, as tourism professionals in the Slavonia Baranja county often do, because the Erdut wine region offers truly wonderful sights, including of the Danube, and excellent wines.
The slow wine train is on its inaugural run with a group of tourism promoters. Boris Osik is enjoying local wines and snacks during the ride from Osijek to Erdut. The Croatian sommelier and wine tourism promoter welcomed the idea.
I find this to be a very interesting and charming experience, especially as it has been a while since I last traveled by train because of the state of our railways and bad rail connections between the east and the west of the country. Traveling by train to Erdut brings back memories of my childhood, and I must admit that it is very pleasant to travel while sipping wine and snacking.
Upon arrival in Erdut, guests can enjoy tours of local wineries, tastings, and local fairs such as fresh strawberries and sausages. The slow wine train might have a promising future, even if it takes a little longer to reach the destination. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
Coming up, Congress members expressed their concerns over congressional security after the shooting in Minnesota over the weekend. We have that and more after this break.
Inflation is still driving up home repair costs. How are millions of homeowners saving money on unexpected bills? With Choice Home Warranty.
Is a new refrigerator in your budget? How about a replacement AC unit? I'm Ty Pennington. For many families, these costs can be catastrophic. That's why I'm a Choice Home Warranty customer. They've saved millions of homeowners from unexpected repair bills with an affordable monthly plan that provides peace of mind and helps avoid surprise expenses. Call now to protect your home with Choice Home Warranty and get your first month free.
Choice Home Warranty offers plans that cover repair or replacement on up to 25 essential home systems and appliances. Protect your budget with a customizable Choice Home Warranty.
We've been a Choice Home Warranty customer for almost 9 years.
And we couldn't be more happy with their service that we get from Choice Home Warranty.
Unexpected home repairs can quickly eat into your savings. It wastes time and fills you with stress. Choice Home Warranty is the most trusted name in home warranty. Call now to lock in a low monthly rate.
Choice Home Warranty has a nationwide network of more than 25,000 trusted technicians. When I have a breakdown, they always have the right contractor to get me taken care of quickly. I just pay a low monthly fee and they pay for the covered repairs.
Choice Home Warranty has been a great company to work with, and they've taken care of us. I would suggest anybody who lives in a home not to be in a home without him.
It's time to protect your hard-earned money with an affordable plan from Choice Home Warranty. Call right now for the peace of mind you and your family deserve. Call Choice Home Warranty now.
Protect your home and your wallet with Choice Home Warranty. Call now to get a free quote, your first month free, and save $10 a month for the first year. Call 800-983-4585, 800-983-4585, or go to choicehome.com.
Discover the ancient secret to vitality and longevity with Puretang Black Ginseng. Crafted from premium 6-year-old Korean ginseng, each root is carefully nurtured for over 2,260 days, undergoing a traditional 9-round handcrafted process of steaming and drying to unlock full potency and absorption. Experience pure, natural energy with Puretang Black Ginseng. Order now at puretang.com.
Hey, have you heard what's happening at Mathis Home? Get new lower prices all summer long with price drop alerts all over the store. They have all the latest looks at unbeatable prices. Like this big sofa with curved arms and 5 plush throw pillows. They dropped the price to just $5.99. That's an incredible value. And with their huge